I'm sure that you are fully with me by going, this is a revolution around this well-being space and probably overdue. And why it's overdue, we have to go backwards in order to find our way forwards. And this will be no shock to anybody because we've all been part of the 2020s and how it's been characterized by COVID. So this move into the remote hybrid workplace. So the major shifts in the world we've seen has been around technology. Now, despite these shifts, the state of our global workforce is frighteningly stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious. So most of us on this call are sitting on the southern tip of Africa. How are we doing? 40% of South African workers experience high levels of stress. We have the highest rate of depression in the world, double that of Brazil. 10 billion in lost productivity due to mental health problems in the workplace. We have increasingly high healthcare costs that to cope with absenteeism in increasing amounts. But stress isn't necessarily a bad thing. So it's good to actually understand a little bit more about what we mean by stress. I call these the 4 horsemen of workplace mental health. So what do we need to watch out for? What are the signposts? Signposts in ourselves and in others. Now, whilst these are signposts to look out for, in the workplace, we have an extra little complexity here, which is the work from home and remote workplace. And then we have a very real invisibility. There's invisibility around the struggles that people are going through. You can hide when you are remote. So it does all these things. It's very hard to see the signposts. But notice the 4 horsemen and notice the commonality. The commonality is around the treatment. The treatment for all 4 is the same. It is around lifestyle. We need to change our approach to thinking differently about our well-being. We need to be looking at preventative care as opposed to the doctor who deals with the symptoms. How we can influence life through the workplace makes sense. Because of the impact on productivity, reducing absenteeism, and increasing engagement levels, all 3 of which have a bottom line business impact. So we know that addressing well-being as an organization makes sense, but it needs to be holistic. It also needs to be something that's proactive. Thirdly, it needs to be sustainable. So now we're talking about creating a culture. We only kind of make this kind of change if we have a dream team. What the danger can be, and we've seen this, is well-being washing. So to get away from well-being washing, we need to look at the triple bottom line as a way to measure impact in an organization. And as HR people, we need to be guided by data. Training and empowering managers, there is a huge need for this, because who is helping the manager? As a manager, you are not just an employee. You have a role to manage the performance of your team, because we would rather support long-term consistency on a few things than short-term intensity on 1 or 2 things that aren't actually needed, but they make for good Instagram posts. Many of you here are managers. So what can you do? What can you control? So the first thing you can control is you. The second thing is, what behavior am I modeling or rewarding? And then for yourself, what boundaries do you need to reinforce? What can you influence though? Influence is how you engage with other people. And so we talk here about the conversation and walking towards discomfort. So I want to introduce you to this matrix. And it talks about kindness and accountability. You need to understand what the organization has, what resources you have, and acknowledge and know what your team's needs are individually. This is not a blanket conversation. This is not a group chat. This is individuals in the team. What do they need? And then use tools like workload balancing and prioritization to help. Ruthlessly prioritize for people. It doesn't matter who they are, because all of us at some point feel overwhelmed, but clarify expectations and ruthlessly prioritize and deprioritize. So as South Africans, we don't have a monopoly on stress and mental health. Despite our numerous extenuating circumstances, we also have sun, we also have great people and better weather. And we need to be leveraging the good that South Africa has to bring. We need to, as an organization and as managers, create a thriving workplace through listening to what the real challenges is. What are the real needs of your people? And challenge the historical thinking that got you to where you're at. The historical style, the historical way of work, the relationship between manager and employee. Challenge the status quo from yesteryear that is no longer something that's relevant today. We need to partner wisely. And by partner, I'm saying partnering with your service providers who can join you as fitness instructors, not as insurance salesmen. And equip your managers. Equip your managers with the skill sets and the mindsets so that they can walk confidently into these uncomfortable conversations and balance kindness with accountability.